Hello! Welcome back to Even More News, the first, the only news podcast. My name is Katy Stoll.
Thank you so much for welcoming me specifically, Katy. I specifically am Cody Johnston.
Specifically, Cody Johnston in the Christmas house, wearing
Apparently,
his Christmas shirt.
Christmas outfit.
His Christmas colors, which he was surprised by. He didn't realize he was wearing Christmas colors, and I thought he did it on purpose.
I didn't do it on purpose. Once it was pointed out to me, I was like, oh yeah, I suppose I am. But
I suppose so, begrudgingly. Jonathan's also here.
Hi. Ho, ho, ho. I'm here.
Ho, ho, ho. He is here.
Ha, ha. He.
It's just us
Christmas
this sweet,
time.
guys.
We're going to get
here.
taken down for this I Am the Walrus you're doing, Cody.
We're always
Is that what he's doing?
might
No.
as well now.
Here. He is
Ha ha ha.
here.
He. Yeah.
We are all together.
Or is it he ha ha ha? Doesn't matter.
See how
We're
they
not doing
run
it.
like pigs from a gun? See how they fly. Is that the lyrics? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one of
Good
them.
job,
the song.
Brain. Remarkable the things I don't remember and the things I do.
You're the egg woman. Make me eat the eggs.
Cuckoo Cachoo. I am the egg woman. Yeah, how you guys doing? I already know
Yeah, we've already discussed this before.
before we started recording, but for what are you willing to share with the audience in terms of
I travel tomorrow, and I
he
don't
travels tomorrow?
look forward
Super
to that
early.
ever. Super early. So that's cool.
Oh, because this is a Wednesday.
This is a Wednesday.
This
And
is a Wednesday.
We record it on Thursday normally, and then it comes out on Friday. So who knows what will happen between now
Yeah,
and when
that's a
you're
good
listening.
caveat to tell everybody.
There are actually some things we will be discussing today where it's like, well, this might happen.
Yeah,
Today,
recording
tomorrow.
Wednesday to be released Friday. But the news moves slow these days.
It does move slow. There's very little that ever happens. But maybe Thursday they'll find a drone that says it is aliens. It's me. I'm aliens.
Or-
Hi.
Ugh, we're going to look real stupid if that
I
happens.
know. Gosh.
Well, holiday news, Friday, December 20th, Ugly National Christmas Sweater Day. Now, I don't own an ugly Christmas sweater. I own this one, which somebody might think is ugly, but it's not what you call an ugly Christmas sweater.
You know what? No Christmas sweater's ugly as long as you're cozy.
Yeah, here. I'll reveal mine here.
Jonathan's not wearing his holiday cheer.
I'll put it on.
That's not ugly. Put that on.
Fine.
Go Birds.
Is that the Philadelphia Eagles?
Sure is. You know what? I'm going to put this on.
Put it on. Put
Be back
it
in 30
on.
seconds.
Put
But for our
it on.
listeners, it'll just be 25 seconds.
12 seconds later.
Oh,
There we go.
He's back. It
Go
looks
Birds.
so nice. Go Birds.
Go birds.
They're pretty mean-looking
Jonathan,
eagles, aren't
the
they?
eagle wearing himself
Well, yeah.
on his sweater.
They can't be nice eagles. They got to
Yeah.
take out cowboys, commanders,
Exactly.
formerly a racial slur, and giants.
Do
Gotta-
people know that your nickname amongst us is the Eagle?
I don't
Oh,
know.
there's no way they do. Yeah, I call Jonathan the Eagle because he's eagle-eyed in his sensing of notes and videos and like fact checks and things. And like,
I
well, that
spot
doesn't look good.
incredibly minor things, and I'm like, well, this is probably fine to release. No one's going to notice this, but actually, this happened in August 1906 instead of July. It was signed on July 1906, but wasn't ratified until.
That's
Yeah,
the font
and
you use. The
unfortunately-
font you use makes that noise.
Yeah,
when I read
absolutely.
it.
It's remarkable. And unfortunately, what he has done is make himself irreplaceable
Yeah.
in that function. I
Well,
would love
eagles
to
are
use-
endangered species, right? I don't know.
Right. So we protect him at all costs. But someday I would love to not bog Jonathan down with
Stop
being the
with
last pair of eyes, but he's just so damn good at it. I don't know what to say, man.
stop with
I
those
know.
eagle eyes, and those moth ears. Moths are really good at hearing.
Yeah, let me try getting this collar out here. You know, bald eagles are the new national bird, thanks to Amy Klobuchar's
Yeah.
bipartisan bill. We still got it.
Got it.
Democrats still
Yeah,
got it.
pushing it
then
through.
what's the California one?
Condor,
California condor.
which is heavily endangered, right? If not
Yeah, I
extinct.
thought it was the bald eagle though. So again, what
Well,
stinks in this brain
No,
of mine?
the
I
state
don't
bird
know.
is the California quail.
California quail.
That's what it is.
The heck?
That's okay. What do you got against the quail?
I don't know. It just is not top of mind in terms of the California bird. I definitely thought
Well,
it was a
sure.
bald eagle. I would have answered that confidently on a trivia question, and I would have been so wrong.
But what if somebody on your team was like, I don't think it's that?
If somebody on my team was like, it's not that, it's the quail, I would have been like, oh, please.
There you
But
go.
now
That's what I
you're
thought.
going to be able to slumdog that answer at trivia night, and everyone's going to be like, how did you know
I don't go to
that?
trivia night anymore, but maybe I should.
Maybe
Bummer.
you should now. Now that you know this one fact about the state bird.
Let's talk about the news. Let's talk about drones, baby. They're spying on you and me all over the eastern seaboard. That's fine. It's far away from me. Okay, I'm done.
I was so close. I was so close to grabbing my guitar and playing along. I was so close.
I had a whole thing to introduce the story, but you did it already.
Sorry.
No, I got more stuff. I can.
Yeah, there's
I can
there's
say
Do
this.
definitely
your
more.
thing too and have the people vote on what was best.
Well, mine's
Wait, why do we have to make this a challenge?
just rudimentary. I know.
We're keeping things light and fun.
It seems like you're adding tension by making this a competition.
No, you know what's going on here. There's been drones or things sighted on the eastern seaboard, a lot of them in New Jersey. Federal agencies have received 5,000 tips, and a number of photos and videos on social media have been spread suggesting any number of things. Those agencies said only 100 of the 5,000 tips merited any further investigation and assessed that most of them were lawful commercial drones, hobbyist drones, law enforcement drones, as well as manned fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, and even stars.
So
Stars is the funniest one.
Stars is the funniest one. I actually have something to say about the stars thing. But so they say most were that. What were the some that weren't? Do we know? Have they informed us? Have they alluded to the fact that there are some that aren't in those categories?
Oh, you mean of the 100? The 100
Well, yeah,
that merited further
The
investigation?
100 that weren't like, oh, you're looking at fucking Orion or whatever.
I believe those were also in the same category of things. You know me, I don't think anything else is going on. But like, my assessment would be that like of that 100, they'll be like, well, we can't tell just from this photo what this is, but let's look into it. Oh, wait, that's a plane. That's a plane, and you have a bad camera or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe aliens, I don't know.
I mean, look, it's not weird if you think about it that there's all sorts of but it's also not new. And this is what, like, we've had many years now of drone sightings. We just got barely. Do people not remember the spy balloon drama that gripped the nation? It's been going on, and there is some mystery around this. This is in conjunction with the fact that we're finally acknowledging that they're unidentified flying objects. Not that that's alien in origin, but that, yeah, actually between different governments and private sector, and also there are things around that are unaccounted for and we don't know.
Yeah, our sky's a mess.
Lots of stuff up there.
That said, is there a world of possibility that there's something? Sure. And that's why it grips the nation in such a way. And everybody's out there looking and adding their 2 cents. I bet it is a little funny to see people
Yeah, it's
freaking out and jumping to all sorts of conclusions.
Oh no, it's funny. It's a little depressing to me. Some of this stuff, like you're saying, like, yeah, they're like, our government has things in the sky that we're not aware of, and there's testing and all this kind of stuff. There was the Chinese spy balloon, as we all remember, that didn't amount to much. But like, we've lost such a connection to the sky and what is beyond the sky. And it is depressing. For example, former governor of New Jersey, something Hogan. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. I don't care. He tweeted last night around 9:45 p.m. I personally witnessed and videoed what appeared to be dozens of large drones in the sky above my residence in Davidson, Maryland, 25 miles from our nation's capital. I observed the activity for approximately 45 minutes. He was looking at Orion, the constellation Orion. And I find that to be so depressing. Like, first of all, you were a governor. What are you doing? What is this? But like, wouldn't it be nice if we knew what Orion was, and there's a sense of wonder about the sky and the stars and like what's out there, and we can have these 2 thoughts in our head, like, oh, maybe there's like our government's testing a thing or whatever, but also I went outside and I saw Orion, and it was beautiful, folks.
Drones flying in the shape of a swordsman, apparently.
It's just like so like, and like I squinted. And I was like, are they trying to form like a bow and an arrow? And then there was one. It was like a large scoop, and then over there a smaller scoop shaped thing. And it's just like we've regressed so much. It's so depressing. And then you have people like, sorry to bring him up, Elon Musk, who is pushing this idea forward like he does all these ideas, because his whole goal is to make you not trust anything or anybody but him, and make you think like every government is out to get you specifically, and I'm the one who like knows everything actually, and you got to trust me. Like that's his whole thing that he does. Like he's the science guy. He's supposed to be the science guy. He's billed himself as the Tony Stark of our era. So shouldn't you actually be a little more incredulous and support people being curious about the sky? Like you're the space guy. Shouldn't you be like encouraging this kind of like be excited and interested in what's actually out there, not like, yes, they're all evil drones actually, and you have to trust me and my Starlink drones that are the good ones.
You know, some of the things being thrown around, they're, you know, is it the United States government? Is it another government? What are they looking for? Is it looking for a missing warhead from Ukraine? Is it looking for nuclear footprints? What's it? Is it a foreign drone object that is sucking up our information, you know, private data?
Is it various phenomena, like natural physical phenomena that appear certain ways? Is it literally just like, that's like, I've seen so many posts of like, that's a plane. That's just a plane in the sky.
Well, that's what's over. Part of it is confused. People are out there looking for something and saying that that's evidence that they've seen it when they actually don't know. It could be literally anything. I mean, we live in a time where, you know, you'll get a Reddit notification of, what are these orbs in the sky? Oh, it's a trail of Starlink satellites. There is so much stuff. And if you guys think that we are not also sending drones to other countries, you're wrong.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, obviously. Of course.
This is a thing that people do, countries are doing now.
Well, like, I obviously would not put it past the United States government to know some sort of foreign origin of these, or they're doing something themselves and they're not saying it, which is obviously what President-elect Trump said. He's like, oh, they know, but they want to keep people in suspense.
I mean, if they know, then presumably he knows.
My point is that I thought, and maybe this is just movies and I'm completely mistaken, I thought we had satellites in the sky that are pointing cameras down, like Google does, that had like actually incredible precision that we might not need planes flying over. Like we have satellite footage of what Russia did in that village in Ukraine. We have satellite footage of the Xinjiang region in China. It might not be as granular as you could get with a drone, but what could you learn that you couldn't learn with our current technology? I'm actually interested in the answer to that question, if any satellite experts are listening. I assume it's like mostly proximity, but that is a good, interesting question.
It is. There are lots of questions around this that I think are interesting and good and valid without jumping to hysteria or panic.
But, well, that's the thing. That's what's going on. And it's one of those, like, just mass hysterias are so silly. Because like somebody made a post and then another person saw that and made a post, and then also like so much of this is like, well, yeah, if you're on X you want engagement, so you're gonna take a video of the sky and be like, look, it's drones, even though it's the moon or whatever. And so it just creates, like you said, like there are 5,000 tips on this now, but there wouldn't have been if it didn't turn into this mass hysteria where everyone's like, I gotta go outside, I gotta be the one to catch the thing.
Well, I want to ask, do you guys believe Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano that he was just posting that TIE fighter prop being driven through the streets as a meme, which he later claimed? He has this big old post for people who didn't see it.
Put it
I'm
up.
not going to read the whole thing. Yeah, it'll be up. It's inconceivable that the federal government has no answers nor has taken any action. But the photo he showed says, breaking news, crashed drone in Orange Beach, retrieved from water and taken to undisclosed location for further investigation. And it's a TIE fighter being driven on a truck. Also on like a city street, not at the dead of night. So like if they were trying to keep this under wraps, you wouldn't just drive a TIE fighter around. Anyway, he claimed it was a meme he was sharing.
Yeah, he claimed it was a meme, and now he's posting actual memes. Like, he's posting this, it's like a carriage with drones attached to it. It's like, heads up, we now have drones in Pennsylvania. And he's like, to the left-wing hacks who lack a sense of humor. Well,
Oh, please.
but you posted this big, long paragraph about how, like, worried you are about this very serious issue. That's not memeing. That's posting a really long thing about your concerns about this issue.
Yeah, you seem to be pretty serious about it.
It seemed very serious.
In general, we've talked about how we can understand how conspiracies get started because of lack of transparency in this way or that. And there's reason to distrust our government, to distrust the media. It just gets morphed into these wild other scenarios that are so disconnected from reality. But yeah, there's lots of stuff we don't understand about some of the things that people have been spotting for a long time, that pilots and people have been raising the flag. Like, we don't know what this is. It doesn't mean that you should jump to X conclusion, but it does. But that's why we have now formed, I forget the name of the task force or whatever, the Senate, to kind of have a space where you can actually talk about these things. I don't want to say that there's not necessarily something that we will learn that will change our opinion, but what this reaction is very overblown, is I guess my point, including the reaction. I don't have the specifics, but I have seen it referenced and heard it mentioned of somebody predicting that after the big election in 2024 that we will be visited by aliens in December.
Someone made a prediction of something? Like,
Yes.
About aliens.
So there are
silly.
people talking about that. But until
Clock's ticking, but this thing going on, I just don't think is very helpful, and I think it fries people's brains, and like sets them up to just believe literally anything and dive into any mass hysteria about any conspiracy, and it gets people to look up at the night sky and think that beautiful, amazing constellations and heavenly, stellar bodies are they're drones from China or whatever it is they're saying. Like, no, just look at the sky and calm down, take a breath.
fuck these drones.
But I think UFOs in the actual, like, what it stands for, what it is, there are many explanations and sometimes there aren't, and that it's valid to be like, what was that? What's in our sky? What's allowed in our sky? But again, this whole business is a little much.
Hopefully we're not eating our words and that there isn't some massive invasion happening that we know on December 29th.
I'll make a bet with anyone, because if I lose that bet, it'll be the least of our problems. And that's not legally binding. I don't want to be wrong and be in debt plus having aliens torture me.
Exactly.
Oh my, it's Krampus season. Time to lock down the house and put out your Krampus traps. This year, I'm ready with Simply Safe. Simply Safe is extending its massive Black Friday deal for our audience. Their Active Guard outdoor protection makes it easy to monitor my yard so you can thwart Krampus once and for all. Because while crime is down in this country, there are so many reasons someone might need a little extra protection. Simply Safe has live agents that can watch your home in real time, set off spotlights or alarms, or even speak to anyone outside of your home. Shoo, Krampus! That's what they'll say. Someday, he will get in my trap. Someday, I will eat Krampus. Anyway, the point here is that Simply Safe is both the most high-tech and hassle-free way to protect your home. Installation is easy, and there's no hidden contracts or cancellation fees. And this week only, you can take 50% off any new system with a select professional monitoring plan. This is your last chance to claim their best offer of the year. So head to simplysafe.com/more news to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this season. But don't wait! This offer won't last long. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like, that's right, Simply Safe.
And we're back from those ads that we went to real quick. Cody, did you love them?
I loved
He
all of it.
loved it. You know what else we love? Jonathan introducing topics.
I do love that. I actually, yeah.
Yeah, well, this week saw a bit of an interesting power play among Democrats in regard to the House Oversight Committee.
Democrats have power.
Well, not
play
much.
With. Yeah.
AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was making a play to be the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. She's been on that committee 4 years. People seem to be behind her, progressives and non-progressives, or not so progressives alike. She was already talking about things she'd want to do as the head of that committee, but then Nancy Pelosi got involved from a hospital bed, I believe, because she took a fall in Germany recently and put her support behind 74-year-old Virginia Representative Jerry Connolly, who was just diagnosed with throat cancer, unfortunately. And then, of course, he won. Democrats voted 131 to 84 to make him the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. And
What are we doing? Sorry.
Yeah, well, it just feels like we have so quickly moved past the idea of, quote, new generation of leaders and messengers that Democrats were going to put into positions of power to challenge the second Trump administration and going forward.
They were going to do that the first time.
This is awesome. Wholly unsurprising. It's just this sort of Democratic playbook, it seems. It is a bit ironic that Nancy Pelosi is the one who made this happen and
from her hospital
bed after she was also the one of the people who worked tirelessly to get Joe Biden to step down so that a slightly younger generation could step in.
And I'm sorry, keep that thought. She also, again, Trump term 1 was the one saying, like, I will be your speaker, but just so that I could raise up the next generation. Mm-hmm. None of that's happened. Please continue. Sorry.
Oh no, I mean that's it. It's just drenched in irony and unsurprising disappointment. It is just another. I mean, what do you even say? What are they doing? What do they want to happen? You have like this particular committee too. It's about oversight and accountability. And you're getting ready for a Trump administration with the Republican Party just having control over all branches of government. You want somebody in this position who not only is healthy and young and able to work very hard at this job, which she does and wants to do, but you also want somebody who is really an effective communicator. You want somebody who can communicate and message about these things that the American people should be aware of. And I don't see Connolly getting on TikTok and talking about anything that he's doing, especially if he's got throat cancer. I feel for him for having this, which he does. That's really, it's always,
he
cancer
should probably
sucks.
Stop
Cancer
working
sucks.
And focus on his
Stop
health.
working and focus on your health. It literally in this position when you want somebody to be able to communicate, maybe throat cancer specifically is actually a really bad thing to have.
Well, and look, it's not like nothing against Jerry Connolly specifically. It's sad that he has throat cancer, and no one
Jerry
says
O'Connell though.
Well, great.
We're coming for you.
No one says that like he should step down from Congress because of this. People shouldn't have to leave their jobs because they have cancer. Well, I think this position specifically seems tailor-made for her in this moment.
Yeah,
Yes.
You're not saying you have to step down or do any of that unless that's what's, the best choice for your health and focusing on your health. But I certainly wouldn't recommend adding new duties in a highly important position when you're just starting to undergo cancer treatment and you're old. I'm sorry, but you are. And that means that it's harder.
In this specific era, too, it's just like so maddening to see, like, just in one ear, out the other, with every single thing that happens to the Democratic Party and everything that they say. Like, what do you think that this is a good idea? This sort of reverence for and deference to seniority is just like a death blow to the entire party. It's just not going to work. It's going to make things so much worse. And you're also just insulting, you know, you can have criticisms of AOC. Many people do. But she is very popular. She is one of the most popular members of Congress, and she is one of the few people that does effectively communicate to young people about just the process of government. She goes out of her way to try to communicate how things are done and why things are done this way, because she's spent a long time, maybe fruitlessly so, trying to do like the inside baseball kind of play in Congress and trying to I'm going to play the game. I'm going to get into, I'm going to do the things that Congress does, instead of being like a more vocally like aggressive, almost like not antagonist to the Democratic Party, but like somebody who can point out all these problems and all these things that they shouldn't be doing and be like a voice of the generation. And they keep kneecapping her over and over. Maybe this method of hers is actually not effective, and maybe she will sort of change her mind about that. Maybe she'll keep going this path and keep trying. I don't know, but just like when you have somebody who is very, very popular, if you look at her district, a lot of people who voted for her also voted for Donald Trump. And those are the kinds of people that you want in office so that she can speak to these people about these problems, specifically about like oversight and accountability for people that like in these positions that people generally don't trust. Right? Like, as we've talked about, there is this just general distrust for people in Congress and the government, all these sort of things. And you need somebody in there who can communicate about that stuff. But I do look forward to Connolly's TikToks about this. I look forward to him working tirelessly and every day in this position to really hold people accountable. We will see how that goes.
I feel like Nancy Pelosi, I mean, I don't know if it's something specifically against AOC. I do think more than a personal thing, it's probably that she knows that this kind of exposure, even though she has tons of exposure online to people who admire her and like her a lot, being the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee might give her a bit of a pulpit to say things that other people haven't said as Democrats before. And maybe Nancy Pelosi is afraid that people will like what she has
I
to
think
say.
totally.
that is accurate.
Yeah, that's why you defer to seniority, and like the people that you know are going to be like, you're going to not say those things.
You have more control over them. And I guess they're probably still afraid of the Democratic Party actually becoming anything productive.
Well, they got to protect their positions.
They got to protect their positions.
And it's just every step of the way, just like, you know, what happened with Dianne Feinstein and what happened with Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
And what happened with Joe Biden. It's just every step of the way claiming that like the voice of a new generation, we're going to lift up these voices and really message out there. Well, are you actually, or are you going to just protect these fucking old people who don't want to do those things? And I don't want to be ageist, and I hope that that's not what we're being, because there are old people who could do this
Bernie.
job passionately and vocally and message and communicate well.
Bernie is an older person who I do not feel like is out of touch with anything and has energy and vigor. So
it's just the out of touch thing. Like,
he's a good
messenger, and he's
And
on
he sits
message.
down and talks with anyone.
maybe he should be the Joe Rogan of the left.
He could be on the Joe Rogan of the right still, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
He could be a
Definitely could,
regular.
anytime.
And I feel like Joe Rogan would have him on still
Oh,
as
yeah.
a regular, and there's not going to be
Timothy
backlash.
Chalamet and Theo Von the other day were talking about how Bernie Sanders is a modern day folk hero. Like, it's just
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet. Yeah. Did I say Chalamet?
I don't know. I just said a word.
Timmy Shaps.
Wait, he was on Theo
Timmy
Von's
Shals.
podcast.
He was on Theo Von, and he was like, they were talking about like Bob Dylan, obviously, and folk music and folk heroes and stuff. And Bernie Sanders got brought up, and Chalamet was just like, yeah, he's like a folk hero.
I've seen clips of Theo Von talking about how much he likes Bernie.
Yeah, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's frustrating as hell. Again, like, you can criticize AOC for various reasons. I will save my ire for the people who stopped her from getting this position, as opposed to for her for thinking that maybe this was the route to get that position. Apparently it wasn't. But head down, power through, forward together, I guess.
Well, she's like an artistic filmmaker who is doing everything they can to work in the studio system, in a system that is not built for people like her.
It's that,
and it's admirable too. I don't know that the opposite would work any better.
I mean, the opposite might get you primaried and kicked out of the Democratic Party. So who knows? Maybe what she's been doing has like kept her in that seat, but also like they still keep voting for her. They love her. So it's unclear. It's that that like, well, I do one for them and one for me, one for them, one for me, and it's just like a continued series of like, I do one for them, and I do one for them, and I do one for them, and they don't let me do one for me. They just stop letting me do one for me.
Well, right. You gotta hope it's not a David Gordon Green situation where you make like several indie masterpieces and then just start directing shit and never go back.
Just slop it up.
I mean, Pineapple Express is okay.
Yeah, I do think pushing back on that whole that's about art and acting, it doesn't matter. The whole like one for them, one for me. Well, like the one for them is still for you. Like you can still like do a good job and like think it. I don't whatever. It doesn't matter.
Not if it's like Marvel where it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Mr. Postman.
They might try again to privatize the United States Postal Service. Sources on the Trump transition team say that he is once again interested in doing so. He reportedly told his Commerce Secretary, Pick, that the U.S. government should not subsidize the Postal Service as it sees annual losses. Before we go any further, it's weird to say that a federal agency can suffer losses because they're not supposed to make a profit and they're taxpayer-funded entities, and no one talks about the Department of Defense taking annual losses of hundreds of billions of dollars that it doesn't earn back.
It is a weird point of conversation, isn't it?
And people still put stamps on things. Like, people have skin in the game. It's not free.
It's not free. And there are things, special shit, you have to pay for plenty of things.
I just think people don't really, like you're saying, like don't fully understand like the validity of certain programs like this and certain institutions that are services, and you need services, and you can't always be chasing profit, because if you chase profit, things like the service is going to get worse and you're going to have to pay more. They're going to make decisions that make more money, but that doesn't mean that it's better. Like there's so many industries where it's like, well, this makes more money. That doesn't mean it's good automatically. That's not reality. But like this, some Timcast staff member, or like half a musician, half staff. I don't know what he does, but Timcast is in his bio, and he's like, well, like, what does even UPS do? Like, why wouldn't just pointing out like, well, if you get rid of the post office, like you just use UPS and like all these and FedEx and stuff. No, they use the post office. They deliver stuff via the post office. If you get rid of the post office, they will stop delivering to places because the post office won't exist to deliver to those places, or it will cost you so much more money. It's maddening.
Also, it is. There's so
also
many.
People love the post office. Like I know it's like, the 80s stand-up is like the post office. People do like the post office.
It is a service of our government. This is a part. We need addresses to have bank accounts. We need to be able to vote, to access to our mail. But it's a necessary aspect of society, and you can't just be expecting people to pay for it. I live in a rural community, and for some reason they don't do mail service up my street. Just my street. Other streets it's fine. And so I have a P.O. box, which at first they tried to charge me for, and I was like, what? And so now I have a free P.O. box because, again, I don't have access to my house.
Right.
They won't bring it to me. And it's not ideal, but is that what this would look like for people, For
a lot of people, they'd have to.
For a lot of people.
They have, the USPS has what's called a universal service obligation. They have to be able to deliver to everyone. There are several million, like UPS and FedEx will deliver to most U.S. addresses, but there are some in some rural areas where they don't. In Alaska, they love the Postal Service because they go where UPS and FedEx won't. And I tried to dig into exactly how many people live in areas that would suddenly be cut off from mail service, and I couldn't get an exact number. I think it's somewhere between 1 and 2 million because USPS goes to 167 million addresses and UPS estimated 165. So it's something like that. It is a small number, but in the millions of people.
Yeah.
Rural people would be most affected by this. And also, it's more expensive. You can put one stamp on a letter and send it to any address. Whereas if you send something across the country or to Alaska through FedEx, it can be $25 or something.
And I get why they say, well, that's why you privatize, you can make more money. But again, this isn't about making money. This is about people being able to function within our society, being able to send their bill or whatever. I guess that's prepaid postage as is. But you can't expect people to be able to pay these fees, $50 to ship it across country, however it shakes out. I think this would be devastating, is I guess what I'm trying to say, for a lot of people.
A lot of people that voted for the guy who wants to do it. And that's like a lot. I think it's just, I want to hammer that point home whenever something like this happens, because so many things he keeps saying he wants to do are going to specifically hurt like the red areas.
Yeah. Not that they deserve it. Not that
no,
it's like,
not at all.
ha, ha,
It's
ha.
just like a
what would
true.
happen.
It's just the reality. Like it's like you look at like every fucking like crappy blue check on Twitter is like, look at this map. Like this is what America voted for, and it's like, oh, look at all the red and like all the tiny little blue things because they don't understand how anything works. But like, yeah, the red areas are going to be harmed more by so many of these things that they're going to do.
There are 30,000 post offices in the nation because they have to be everywhere. 57% of them are in rural areas, and many of those would just go away.
That specifically would be devastating. Think about what it means to already be driving 15 minutes to your post office, and now you've got to drive 45. Already in this small community, there's lots of little post offices around, little branches, but they wouldn't be able to handle if one of them got shut down. I don't know how that would affect the workload and the ability of people to process all of this extra mail in their own, let alone have the space to store it. What are we talking about?
And there are also other things that the post office does. Like, I know there's other places you can do it, but like it is the primary place you go to get a passport photo taken and sent in to the State Department and all that. Like they provide essential services for communities. I don't know. To me, it's just like as if they said, we're gonna every municipality needs to stop funding public libraries. Just go to the bookstore. It's like, well, one, that sucks because you can get free books there, and two, there's other things that libraries do, as they've found out in New York and other places that have cut back on library budgets. It sucks, is what I'm saying.
Well, it sucks as like everybody's like on, not everybody, but like the all the wrong people who have the power are like on board for all these like terrible ideas. And it's also like, well, Trump kind of tried to do this last time and he talked about doing it last time. And it's just this kind of stuff where like he signals with noise. And a lot of the noise have like this like little signals in it, and it's just like, are you actually going to try to do this? Are you just saying it because you say whatever, or are you talking about like it for real with actual people who will try to make this happen? Are you trying to make people mad? Is it just like you are mad that you couldn't do it the first time? They've also they're not going to. It seems like they're not going to do any sort of adjustments to like having like a fleet of electric vehicles, which they were planning on doing. Not every vehicle, but like they were trying to get more electric vehicles for the post office. And it seems like that's not going to happen, which is also funny but I thought Elon is the guy for that and he wants to do it. So it's one of those things like, are you saying that? And then actually be like, well, actually we are doing it. And they're all going to be built by Tesla.
Maybe he's testing the waters to see, but I don't know that. Can this happen? Do you think that he would be able to even get the support? Because again, this isn't a new conversation that's been brought up by him. I think
that they're obviously like legal details for all these kinds of questions, right? Like everything he says he wants to do, all these things we've talked about already in the past few weeks. Can he, like, and the question is always like, can he even do that? And I think there are obviously legal reasons why, well, he can't do it like this. He can't do it like that. He probably can't do it this way. But honestly, like the answer is like maybe for all these questions.
I know,
because
but
like he has
know.
everybody there and everybody wants to do this. He's gutting everything and he has the Supreme Court. So like technically, yeah.
I know. But I guess what I'm not sure. I'm still in the phase where I'm not actually sure how seriously I can take the man and how seriously I can take whatever signaling, whatever fucking bullshit online chatter. And actually, this could be and we'll make more money this. That's just white noise to me at this point, which maybe it's me being naive or self-protective or whatever. At this point, I'm like, realistically speaking, I think that this, once you get to the point where you're trying to push this actually, I think that it would be so wildly unpopular and that it would be hard pressed, I would think, to get enough people, senators, people to sign off on this.
The Republican
but
Party
I could be,
wants
I know,
to privatize
and again,
everything.
I am acknowledging that this could just be me being naive. So I'm not invalidating, but
it's not
but I like to bring that perspective in
naivete,
because
it's just...
I feel like everything that comes down the pipeline, I feel my heart rate spike a little bit. And so I'm just trying to give that as a thought for people before going down to all the bad worst case scenarios.
I think having a reasoned level head about because it's every day it's going to be something. And as we've seen, like it's not always going to pan out, but he does want to do a lot of this stuff, and he's got a lot of more freaks in charge, and he does have every branch of government at his whim. And it's just like, don't like flip your lid about everything, but also I don't know.
No, but it's important to be aware of what's happening too. I'm not saying like ignore this story. I'm just bringing up the thought that whenever I read about it or talk about it, I come back around because, again, I mean, I have access to my mailbox, but everything about needing to go out of my way and wait in lines, or, it gets confusing too, because a lot of places don't ship to P.O. boxes, and I will be filling out something online, or working with a sponsor and they'll say, I'm sorry, we can't ship it to a P.O. box, but I can't get your mail unless you ship it to my P.O. box. And so it's already, even within a community which does its best to accommodate this, and, you slow down. I don't think that the reality of this is workable even.
Well, the reality of it won't set in until it's done with not necessarily with this, but like with a lot of this stuff where like, I had hope that people would hear mass deportations now and think about it and go, but then this, but then this, but then this. You're not going to support that, but guess, he's going to be the president now. And like even the steps taken to do that seem to be already in the works. And with something like privatizing the post office, people being like, well, we can't actually do that. This is bad. It's inconvenient. There are all these reasons. I feel like a lot of that stuff won't set in until it's done. Because right now, even related to this topic specifically, you have people, again, like with like Elon Musk and all his little sycophants and all his cult members who are in charge of the government now, or will be very soon. They're all, like, I saw a tweet today boosted by Elon Musk. I just need to leave the internet forever. Being like, the one reason we love and only trust Donald Trump is because he's the only person who's never broken a promise to us. Something along those lines. And Elon's like, yes, exactly. Like, it is a fucked up, stupid cult of weirdos who want to loot the government and do all these terrible things, and they're just going to try to do them. And maybe they won't be able to, but once they do them, that's when the effects will actually happen, and people will be like, oh, this sucks. But I don't think that there's enough resistance up top at the beginning yet to these ideas to stop them from actually being implemented, because the Republican Party generally wants to privatize everything. They are just on board with that idea. Yeah. So I just don't know if the pushback is going to be enough.
I don't know either, but I kind of feel that there will be a significant amount of pushback as if this conversation continues. I don't know if it will move the needle or stop it from happening, but that's kind of where, because
That's the hope. Yeah.
more and more people will start saying like, wait a minute, this isn't, people like me saying like, well, actually I live in a community like XYZ. I don't see what happens if you do, you can't close this. It'll be a problem.
It will be, but also I feel like I'm going a bit mad because like so many things he's saying too are like, yeah, you said that 8 years ago. You said that 7 years ago. Like this conversation about the value of the post office and like what the effect would be and like, well, it's going to do this, it's going to do this. And here's actually why it costs so much. And like all these things that we're saying, deja vu happened years ago. So like the idea of people like coming around is like, but they didn't already. They already,
but they,
you know,
that there's a reason why this conversation didn't go anywhere also.
True.
8 years ago.
He's not a dictator yet, obviously. And right, and even if he gets an obscene amount of power with help from the Supreme Court, he'll still have to choose his battles,
yes.
at least initially. I believe this one in particular will be quite unpopular. And he's still got his postmaster general that he put in there anyway, who's, by the way, done a whole like 10-year modernization plan. Like they've already done this whole like, we're going to get more efficient, we're going to cut unnecessary spending, we're going to modernize electric vehicles, all that stuff.
Yeah, we don't need to yeah.
But like, you know, he will be able to. There's a 9-person governing board of the Postal Service. 3 of those seats are vacant. Biden nominated 3 people for those seats, and the Senate is just like not doing it, I guess, before Trump is inaugurated, even though don't they still have
well,
the
you
Senate?
gotta get that bald eagle legislation
They've got,
out there.
They've got other
You got to
stuff to
get that quail out there.
Yeah.
So Trump will just put, you know, I don't know. I mean, I won't know the names of the people he's putting in there, but he'll put some people in there who are definitely on board with this kind of plan. But right, it's not going to be the
It's not going to be an
easiest
instant thing. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like, oh, we did it. It's going to be a slow, like so many of these things are going to be like a slow deterioration of these things.
What's frustrating is that there are certainly improvements to be made and conversations to be had, you know, banking with post offices, you know, but that's not any of the conversations that we will be having.
Well, no, there are only 2 solutions to anything. It's either deregulation or privatization. Those are the things that they want to do.
That is a very frustrating element of this for sure. Guys, I think we need to wrap it up though.
I want to mention like 2 quick stories that are going to develop in the next couple days. First is that the House Ethics Committee is going to release the Matt Gaetz report, so enjoy that if you see it.
Christmas treat.
By the time you hear this. And also, Donald Trump just said that he didn't like the government funding plan that they had all agreed on in Congress, and so now a bunch of his allies in the House are going to not vote for it, and so now they got to figure out a way to fund the government.
When they want to wait until January. We'll be fine until then. Well,
one other thing. I have not watched this yet, but our editor, Nick, wanted to acknowledge that this was the 311th episode of this podcast.
No.
So I think I know what this is.
I know exactly what this is.
What
I think
is
I know
it?
exactly what this is.
Oh, a surprise.
And this is our last episode of the year, as it turns out. So we're just going to play this, and then we can end the show, I promise. I have nothing else.
Dear team, since you didn't celebrate reaching 300 episodes of Even More News a few months ago, I wanted to make sure your next milestone is properly acknowledged. Love, Nick. Nick, we love you.
We love you.
Hey, Katy, Cody, and Johnny.
There he is.
Oh, wait, I
What's
just finished
up?
reading that.
It's me, Nick Hexum from 311, coming to you from my studio here in Topanga.
Love Topanga.
And, of course, I'm coming to you courtesy of the other Nick. And I loved reading about you guys, that you are rocking your 311th edition of your podcast.
so funny.
Even More News. Keep up the good work. And
H-E-X-U-M.
huge congratulations on reaching
Yes.
your 311th.
Thank you.
how about a song reminding you
How
guys to
about
continue to trust your instincts? You've got to trust your instincts and let go of regret. You got to bet on yourself now, Katy, Cody, and Johnny, 'cause that's your best bet. From Nick and me.
Thank you, 311.
What a positive
Thank you,
person.
Nick.
Wow.
Wow.
What a treat.
Can we clip that out? What a special treat. Thank you, Nick. That was
you, Nick.
really, really,
And
really
thank you, Nick and
sweet.
Nick.
He's
And
like,
Nick.
yeah, I got something for the episode. I'm like, but before he even finished the sentence, I'm like, I know exactly what
I
this
knew
is.
exactly. I knew it.
He's
Amber
also
is
the
the
only
color of
person
your
who
energy.
calls me Johnny.
Yeah.
Now Nick Hexum
Now
thinks I'm
Nick-
Johnny.
Yeah, now you got two.
He really did just kind of give you that nickname and ran with it.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Here's Johnny.
All right.
You can't do that to me.
But we're appreciative of the gift, Nick. We are appreciative of all of you guys and gals, everybody listening, watching, supporting.
It was beautiful. It was not a beautiful disaster. It's a 311 reference.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a song by 311.
Well, I was specifically talking about our listeners at this point, but you know,
Sure.
it is
Yeah.
a beautiful disaster. You
Same,
guys are
yeah.
a beautiful disaster. I hope you take care of yourselves this holiday season, for real.
Yes.
It can be hectic. Can be a
can be.
lot. Drink water.
Sure.
I mean, that's always good advice.
Every day.
But most importantly, I want to make sure you know that we love you very much. See you in the new year.
New Year.